Maine Secretary of State said Thursday that former President Trump was ineligible to be on the state's primary ballot under the 14th Amendment, but becoming the second state to take such action. Maine Secretary of State Shenna Bellows, a Democrat, said she had concluded that Trump, over the course of several months and culminating on January 6, 2021, used a false narrative of election fraud to inflame his supporters and direct them to the Capitol to prevent certification of the 2020 election, the peaceful transfer of power. In the 34-page decision, she also concluded that Trump was aware of the likelihood for violence and at least initially supported its use, given he both encouraged it with incendiary rhetoric and took no timely action to stop it. Mr. Trump's occasional requests that rioters be peaceful and support law enforcement do not immunize his actions, she said. A brief call to obey the law does not erase conduct over the course of months, culminating in his speech on the ellipse. The weight of the evidence makes clear that Mr. Trump was aware of the tinder laid by his multi-month effort to delegitimize a Democratic election and then chose to light a match. The Colorado Supreme Court ruled that Trump should be barred from its primary ballot for the same reasons last week. An appeal to that case is expected to be heard by the Supreme Court. The Maine decision marks the first time a state official has removed a presidential candidate via the 14th Amendment, as the Colorado decision was made by a court. I do not reach this conclusion lightly. Democracy is sacred, Bellows said. I am mindful that no Secretary of State has ever deprived a presidential candidate of ballot access based on Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, she wrote. I am also mindful, however, that no presidential candidate has ever before engaged in insurrection. The oath I swore to uphold, the Constitution, comes first above all, and my duty under Maine's election laws when presented with Section 336 challenge is to ensure that candidates who appear on the primary ballot are qualified for the office they seek, she continued. The Trump administration denounced the decision Thursday, attacking Bellows as a virulent leftist and a hyper-partisan Biden-supporting Democrat. We are witnessing in real time the attempted theft of an election and the disenfranchisement of the American voter, Trump campaign spokesperson Stephen Chung said. Make no mistake, these partisan election interference efforts are a hostile assault on American democracy. Chung said the campaign will appeal the ruling. Attorneys for Trump previously demanded that Bellows, a Democrat, recuse herself from the decision over whether Trump should be placed on the ballot. In the Thursday decision, Bellows said the request was untimely. Had the motion been timely, I would have determined that I would preside over this matter impartially and without bias, she wrote. My decision is based exclusively on the record before me, and it has in no way been influenced by my political affiliation or personal views about the events of January 6, 2021. Debates on the merits of the 14th Amendment challenges have focused on two matters: whether Trump's actions qualify as supporting an insurrection, and whether the 14th Amendment applies to the presidency at all. Bellows made the same determination as the Colorado Supreme Court, citing the decision. She said that Trump's actions do qualify and that the amendment does apply to the presidency. Again, citing the Colorado Supreme Court's case, Bellows also argued that the sheer complexity and the unprecedented nature of the Trump case does not mean she couldn't determine its eligibility, preemptively countering an argument against her decision. Complexity is not a limitation on my authority. Those statutes do not suggest that I am restricted to adjudicating straightforward questions of law or facts, she wrote. Mr. Trump's concerns about the inadequacy of these proceedings are therefore without merit. Other states have turned down similar challenges to Trump's ballot qualifications. In Minnesota, the state Supreme Court rejected 14th Amendment claims as untimely and requested objectors wait until the general election to contest Trump's candidacy. In Michigan, a state court ruled Wednesday that its Secretary of State did not have the authority to make the determination to whether Trump violated the 14th Amendment. This is really crazy. I had no idea we would get two states to actually get him off there. Her arguments are pretty sound as far as I believe that he did commit an insurrection. A lot of people believe that he was privy to what he was doing when he would say they took it from us, they stole it from us, they took and of course that created the environment that caused these people to go up there. And just because he said don't do it only on the day of them doing it doesn't erase the fact that for 2 months he played into stoking that belief. But what's insane to me is that by virtue of this being so unprecedented, I'm those that are saying democracy is under attack and oh free our ability to vote and cast the vote for whoever we want, they're not entirely wrong for believing that. I mean, you've had 3 years to get this guy off the ballot, to go after him in whatever way you were going to go after him, and it seems like the U.S. Attorney General and all these other law enforcement officials were like caught off guard by him running again, and only then decided, yeah, we need to actually punish him in a severe way for doing something so insane as to try and override the will of the people with this 2 months of nonsense that ended up turning into something much worse than that. But you're going to see a lot of these conservative lawyers and pundits who will talk about how democracy is being overridden, and they're not wrong for saying that. I genuinely believe that while she probably, of course, does see justification to get him off the ballot, the fact that it took this long, or it's right before the election next year, is going to have a lot of people raising their eyebrow, and a lot of conservatives in the future may try to use the same course of action to stop Democrats from being on the ballot. Even if I don't think we're going to see. I'm not going to say we never could, because this type you never know what can happen with history. But in the future, there might be some Democrat that does something a Republican doesn't like, and they will try and say that they violated the 14th Amendment, and come up with some flimsy reasoning that the right wingers in their state who son the Supreme Court will likely abide by, and that's really scary, because no matter what you think of Trump or any of these other people, um, if they were serious about going after him for committing crimes and breaking the law, they wouldn't wait until after he starts running for president again. Really, it should have been within the first couple of hours of Merrick Garland taking office that he would have investigated January 6th and gone after Trump and had these 90 plus charges, filed back then. But because they waited, and now it looks like we're going to get the rematch of a lifetime, they're trying to use some other backdoor method to kind of stoke things in Biden's favor, help him out a little bit. Um, I just think this is going to play into his hands. I think it's going to help his supporters are not going to abandon him. They're going to say, look, he's such a strong candidate that they have to rig it against him even more so than they've rigged it against anyone else. And we're probably going to see some Republicans try to take this and run with it too. But I didn't expect another state to undergo the same process. I thought that was just an outlier with Colorado. Now Maine's jumped on board. Um, I don't think we're going to see 10 states do this, but I can see at least 5 probably. All blue leaning, of course, because the Republicans would never even entertain an idea like this. Um, it's so crazy. Like I sometimes really have to remind myself that January 6th really happened. And the person who was the most responsible for it is still celebrated by their party, still legitimized as someone that can run for office. And again, even with this stuff going on now, it's just going to make him stronger, and it's going to cause a lot of his supporters, both the ones in office and the voters, to look for ways to get back at not only just the Democrats that have done this, but at people in general that are of the opposite side of the ideological spectrum. They're probably going to look for some ways to get back.